India has had 20 viceroys starting from 1858. Before that, we had governor generals. But with the Government of India Act of 1858, India came under the direct rule of the British Crown. With it, the title of governor general was abolished and the role of viceroys with 5-year terms was established. Lord Canning, the first viceroy and the last governor general. He's known for being there when the Sepoy Mutiny, or the First War of Independence, in 1857 took place. He was mockingly nicknamed by the British as Clemency Canning for being overly lenient with his decision to only punish those who had caused violence during the rebellion. Later on, he was honored with the Order of Bath. Among other things, he established the first 3 modern universities: University of Calcutta, University of Madras, and University of Bombay. He passed the Act of Hindu Widows Remarriage Act in 1856 and the General Service Enlistment Act of 1856. He saw to the adoption of the Indian Penal Code in 1862. He also took on a parliamentary approach and enlarged the council to make room for Indian non-official members. Lastly, he authored the book People of India, a photo book on Indian people of that time.
So, not such a bad guy.
Lord Elgin. Unfortunately or fortunately, he was Viceroy of India for only 1 year as he died of a heart attack while travelling in Sialkot, making him the Viceroy with the shortest tenure. All he really could do in his time was threaten the Dutch and be the first Viceroy to occupy the Peterhof, which later housed 7 Viceroys. But before coming to India, he was quite the busybody. He was the Governor of Jamaica in 1842. As the Governor General of Canada in 1847, he passed the Rebellion Losses Bill, which led to the burning of the parliamentary buildings in Montreal in 1849, where he was later assaulted. He also supported the Bagot Report, which was the foundation of residential schools, a dark chapter in the past of Canada. As High Commissioner of China during the Second Opium War, he ordered for the destruction of the old Summer Palace. For this, he has been criticized till date. Lord Lawrence, the third Viceroy, also known as the Saviour of Punjab. In 1868, he introduced Tennessee laws in Punjab and Oudh to protect the peasants. This significantly improved the province's administration, infrastructure, and overall well-being. Under Lawrence's watch, the British fought a short Bhutan War and annexed territories on Assam and Bengal border. He made Shimla the empire's official capital. Moving on to his failures, we have the Orissa famine of 1866, where over 1 million Indians are reported to have died under his administration. For this, he offered his resignation but was denied by the then Prime Minister of the UK. He has also famously devised the policy of masterly inactivity regarding his non-intervention in the Afghanistan Civil War of 1866. This was widely criticized by the British as they were worried of Russian expansion. He was critical of British and even called out non-official British citizens in India for being exploitative without care for the consequences. Multiple times he opposed increasing taxes on salt despite his council's recommendation. And he played a huge role in decreasing female infanticide. He also set up the Allahabad High Court in 1866. Low-key, he's just a chill guy. Lord Mayo, the only viceroy to have been assassinated. He famously established the Rajkumar College in Rajkot and Mayo College at Ajmer. But before that, he started financial decentralization in India. He ordered the first census of India in 1871. He set up the departments of Revenue, Agriculture, and Commerce. He even cultivated closer relationships with Sher Ali Khan, the Emir of Afghanistan, as a counter to Russian expansion in Asia. While visiting the convict settlement at Port Blair in Andaman Islands for the purpose of inspection, he was assassinated by Sher Ali Al-Fredi, a different guy, very similar name, not the Emir, an Afghan convict who was using a knife. Lord Northbrook. Early in his rule, Northbrook dealt with severe famine in Bihar. In Punjab, he crushed the Namdhari uprising of 1872, a millenarian movement led by Baba Ram Singh. He notably removed the Gaikwad of Baroda for misrule. Northbrook avoided foreign wars and refused PM Disraeli's demand to force a treaty on Afghanistan. He resigned in 1876 over that disagreement. Lord Lytton. India was reeling from famine caused by crop failure from 1876. His response was to convene a grand darbar in which he declared Queen Victoria as Empress of India. This lack of response from his administration contributed to between 6.1 million to 10.3 million deaths of Indians. He also enacted the Vernacular Press Act of 1878. This act gave power to the Viceroy to seize the press of any Indian vernacular publishing house that put forth content regarded as seditious by the government. Lytton planned an invasion of Afghanistan as they believed the Emir now sided with Russia, leading to the Second Anglo-Afghan War. They won, but it came at a huge cost for the colonial government, along with heavy losses to the British Army. This was enough to be a factor for the defeat of the Conservative Party in London, of which Lytton was a part of. All this brought an end to the Great Game for Asia. Lord Ripon. His tenure was known for his liberal reforms and policies. Ripon lowered taxes like salt duty, expanded civil services, and encouraged local self-government. He did this by setting up elected municipal bodies in 1882. Ripon's boldest move was the Ilbert Bill, which would have allowed Indian magistrates to try British offenders. European settlers in Bengal protested violently at this proposal, forcing Ripon to dilute it. So now British defendants could demand half European juries. He also increased the minimum age of appearing in civil services from 18 to 21. Lord Friedrich. Through reforms, he placated nationalists by appointing Indians into new roles. Years later, his successors would call them the Monumental Reforms, but the seeds of this were sown now. His tenure also saw the annexation of Upper Burma. He commissioned the famous Dufferin Report on Bengal's peasantry, which exposed rural poverty and recommended Indian members in councils. Lord Lansdowne. He enacted the Age of Consent Act, by which the age of consent for girls was raised from 10 to 12. He set up the Durand Commission to draw the boundary between British India and Afghanistan. During his tenure, we also saw the Indian Councils Act of 1892. Lord Elgin, the son of James Bruce, the second Viceroy of India. Along with the title, Lord Elgin II inherited major crisis. Bubonic plague broke out in Bombay in 1896 and spread, and a great famine devastated crop areas. Millions died or were impoverished. This resulted in an estimated 5 million deaths. Some estimates place the deaths up to 10 million. His administration in India was otherwise notable for the Afridi frontier risings, heavy fighting against the fierce Pashtun tribes on the northwestern frontier. He also reorganized the Indian army, dividing it into separate commands for better control. Lord Curzon, probably one of the most famous Indian viceroys. Curzon's boldest move was to partition Bengal. He split the large province into a Muslim majority east and a Hindu majority west to supposedly improve governance. This obviously infuriated Indians. It sparked the Swadeshi movement, in which British goods were boycotted. Other than that, he also created the Northwestern Frontier Province on Afghanistan's border in 1901. He also tightened education control and enacted the Press Act to curb nationalist newspapers. In foreign affairs, he sent out the Young Husband expedition to Tibet and briefly clashed with British military leaders over army reforms. The Archaeological Department was established under Ancient Monuments Preservation Act, initiating the restoration of Taj Mahal under his orders. He also held the Second Delhi Darbar. Overall, he wasn't much liked by the Indians for his controversial reign, but conversely, his moves did revitalize the Congress in India. Lord Minto. Minto's tenure saw the first real constitutional concessions. The Molly Minto reforms introduced election to provincial councils and even reserved seats for Muslims. In Delhi, in 1906, he hosted another Grand Darbar for the new king. Lord Hardinge. Hardinge's years were historic. At his inauguration in 1911, King George V himself announced the annulment of Curzon's Bengal partition. Bengal was reunited, but new provinces of Bihar and Orissa were carved out. Simultaneously, the capital of India was officially shifted from Calcutta to New Delhi. World War I dominated the Viceroy's later years. Over 1 million Indian troops were sent abroad. In his time, the Gadhar Mutiny took place, and Mahatma Gandhi returned to India and launched the civil disobedience. Lord Chelmsford. Chelmsford took charge amid rising nationalism and global war. The big event of his tenure was the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms. The Government of India Act 1919 created provincial diarchy and expanded councils. The British passed the Rowlatt Act, which allowed indefinite detention, imprisonment without trial, and judicial review. This was done to curb multiple uprisings and protests staged by Indians. Later that year, troops under his watch massacred hundreds at Jallianwala Bagh. Lord Isaacs. He immediately repealed the Press Act of 1910 and the Rowlatt Act to win goodwill. He ordered for the railway budget to be separated from general budget, and this tradition has been carried on by modern government up till 2016. A lot of things happened during his tenure, such as the Chauri Chaura incident, withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement of Mahatma Gandhi, and the formation of the Swaraj Party. Overall, he witnessed more events than he caused them in India as Viceroy. Lord Irwin. His tenure was quite happening, with Simon Commission, Nehru Report, 14 Points of Jinnah, Purna Swaraj Declaration, bombing of Central Legislative Assembly, and most obviously, the growing dissent from the Indians, which the British could no longer ignore. Irwin's big moment came in 1930. Gandhi launched the Salt March to break the oppressive salt tax, sparking civil disobedience across the country. Irwin could not crush the movement. Instead, he negotiated with Gandhi, resulting in the Gandhi-Irwin Pact of 1931. This act released prisoners and allowed limited civil disobedience. Owen had presided over the first Roundtable Conference to discuss India's future, but it achieved little. Generally, British saw Owen as too sympathetic. Churchill even called him a mere pleader of the nationalists. He resigned in 1931 to become British Foreign Secretary. Lord Willingdon. He administered the Poona Pact of 1932 and communal award issues that granted separate electorates to depressed classes and Muslims, trying to maintain Hindu-Muslim harmony. In 1935, the Reserve Bank of India was created under his rule. The second and third roundtable conferences also took place under his tenure. Lord Linlithgow. His long term was dominated by World War II and communal strife. He initially presided over the implementation of the Government of India Act 1935 and the first Congress ministries. But war changed everything. In 1939, Linlithgow declared India at war with Nazi Germany without consulting Indian leaders. He also dealt with Gandhi's Quit India campaign, during which thousands of leaders were jailed. The Bengal famine of 1943 was a severe food crisis in Bengal region. It is debated but popularly believed that Churchill has been quoted as blaming the famine on the fact that Indians were breeding like rabbits. Lord Wavell. Wavell took over as Allied victory loomed. He initially proposed a power-sharing formula known as the CR formula and convened the Simla Conference of 1945 to form an interim government. The conference failed when Jinnah insisted on separate electorates, so in 1946 Wavell facilitated the Cabinet Mission Plan to keep India united. However, communal violence surged after the Muslim League's Direct Action Day and a naval mutiny, forcing British to accept that partition was now inevitable. Wavell was caught in the middle. He kept negotiating with the Congress and League leaders. Now we come to probably the most famous Viceroy of India ever, Lord Mountbatten, who surprisingly had the shortest term, just from Feb to August of 1947. Under his watch, the Indian Independence Act was passed in July 1947, and modern-day India and Pakistan were created out of this. Mountbatten chaired the Radcliffe Commission that drew the new borders for India and Pakistan, a task that was done in weeks. He tried to mitigate violence by personally intervening, such as halting riots in Naukali. He also helped arrange accession agreements with hundreds of princely states. Indians have mixed memories about Mountbatten. Nehru and Congress leaders spoke warmly of his fairness, while others blame him for the chaos of partition, which, it is agreed, was deeply mishandled. Yep, that was every Indian Viceroy explained. There were 20 of them, and all 20 of them literally took out my soul. Like, this video took 110 slides, and I don't have the will to live anymore. So, Ivya, my video editor, please come back, or I'm gonna have to hire some intern. We are open to internships, I guess. Don't have any money, and we have like 20 subscribers, but if that's something you want, we are the people. Well, if you want more videos like this, honestly, not like this one, but if you want more videos, like, share, and subscribe to... Shut up, Babu!